Welcome, exiles, to another 1.0 Cyclone Gladiator update. Now, the main thing from this video is we have a forum thread with everything in it that I could scrap up so far. I'm still working on it, but everything that's most important is already there. So let's jump to the forum thread, let me show you that, then we'll talk about the build more. But for now on, the forum thread has a build guide on top. I plan to do a written one as I update the build. Once I'm 100% happy with it, I will start writing the script for a video and record that, so it's going to be way better and less rambly and random. So yeah, it's going to be way better than the one that I already did. But I don't want to do it until I'm 100% happy with what I have, because spending a few days to write a script, record it, edit it, yeah, if I spend that much time on that, might as well be like the perfect build that I could make. So once I'm happy, 100% happy, I will make that. But for now, you have on top the current build guide that you click and it's going to open on YouTube, and you can watch that one. At the moment is the version 2.0. There's going to be a version 3.0 pretty soon, but this is like the incremental ones, talking about random stuff, maybe like not use those POBs. Those are going to be experimental, and from now on I have those. It's going to say, hey, I'm experimenting, don't use that one. Don't use it yet. So from these updates I might share some POB that are not yet, I haven't tested on, or haven't fully tested in game, and those are going to be, if you want to mess around with it, improve it, add something, and you're experienced enough to do that, you can use that one. If you're not, use the ones that are on top, that for instance that would be this one at the moment without voices. That one is cheaper and does about the same damage as the one with voices, maybe even more, but you get a bit less life, but it's still really good. And I'm going to comment about each and every POB that I post, so you can see which ones are good and which ones are not. And it was a bit of a mess in previous videos where I post a new POB in every video, and if you watch like previous video, didn't watch the last one, maybe the previous one had something that it shouldn't have had. I shared one POB that wasn't tested, so that confused people a lot. Now I'm going to always tell you if I tested it in game or if I didn't. So there might be a few versions of the build and you can pick one of those. I might have the versions that are not tested in game and it's going to say it's not tested. Use it at your own risk if you wanted to, but that's totally up to you. We also have the examples, the clears. You might have already seen those videos, but we have Simulacrum, full 20 waves, and I managed to drop voices in that run. I was really happy, and those voices are worth around 25 exalts, which is really awesome, and Simulacrums keep popping up really good items for me. I didn't run that many yet because I didn't have time, because my Windows decided to die, slowly die over a few days. It started getting blue screens, and that's why I didn't make videos yesterday. Then it started crashing in game. It was a mess. It's probably a driver. I reinstalled the whole thing and now it works. It didn't crash once. So yeah, so if you've seen already, there, like I did the full Delirious T16 map. It wasn't corrupted, but it was fully Delirious, fully sextanted with Scarabs, and I managed to clear it with one death, and it was relatively okay. I tried that again with the newer iteration of the build, and I couldn't clear that map that I made because it had different modes than that one. That one was easier. The new one had way too big pack sizes, and I think I have beyond or something, so as soon as like I kill mobs, they keep popping up, and it was crazy. I managed to kill one boss, Delirium boss in there, but the mobs were crazy. I mean, Delirium, I want to make a build that can like steamroll Delirium, but I'm not sure if that's possible. Maybe with the Berserker, but will I have enough defenses to actually survive it? I will have damage, but not sure about defenses. So you have the other ones, like these ones are somewhat easy. So we have Cyrus and other Elder Slayers, so you can check those out. They were steamrolled, basically killed in like 2 seconds. Not a contest there. And we also have, I included those like few links from live streams and that montage that I shown during the leveling. So everything is here in one place, and as soon as like I update something, I will update this thing, and this link is posted in every new video, and I updated it in all the other videos so far that I've made. So it's on one place, and you don't like have to hunt for a POB in a whole bunch of videos. Just come to this thread and you will find everything that you need for the build. So yeah, with that out of the way, let's jump into path of building and take a look what I have so far. Okay, once you got the path of building from the forum thread now, this is like the current one as of recording of this video. You have to use the forked version of path of building as it's stated in the thread, and the installation process for path of building is included in the build guide that I did. So if you don't know how to do that, check out that video and come back to this one after that. But this video is somewhat for people who already watched the previous build guide video and kind of want to keep up with the changes to the build that I'm making. So let's jump into it. The one cool thing that I added is the brutal restraint timeless jewel. Now we'll have to take a look at it in game later on because it's not like working correctly here, so I had to fake it. I have to tell you about that. So it doesn't give like this percent dex and 48 dex. It actually gives percent dex on this node in game, and then each node of these small ones gives dexterity. So I added everything up and probably might have messed up the calculations. I mean, it was pretty late, so when I was adding that stuff and counting nodes for split personalities, jewels and stuff like that, I might have messed up some things. But even if I messed up a bit, it's still probably more than 9 million damage, so we are fine. We are really fine in terms of damage. But the skill tree is going to end up being reworked quite a bit, because these traveling shenanigans are starting to make less and less sense, because I found out about new cluster jewels for Warcries that are somewhat insane, and we are going to craft them, and I think I'm going to record that as a video, as a crafting session, and share that with you guys. But we're getting the cry node here, battle cry. I think we're going to anoint it probably, or if we rework the skill tree to go from here, maybe. I'm not sure how we're going to like rework it, but what is definitely sure that we are not going to go like through here. This is way too much wasted travel. I might even like cut out everything like from here, like nothing. No, and like none of that. It's way too much travel. I mean, we do get dexterity on split personality because of that, but since I scrapped 2 of split personalities, I had one here, which is probably, if I'm going to keep like these travel shenanigans, I have to somehow fit in at least 1 more split personalities to be able to justify this this craziness of a skill tree with voices, and with this one when we had 1.7k dexterity, it was definitely worth making a complete spaghetti of a skill tree. But since I removed that in favor of getting deep cuts, this thing for impales, we're somewhat we are wasting the skill points way too much. So we're still getting a whole bunch of flat damage from that, and it's awesome, but I will have to somehow scale it up differently, maybe with another brutal restrained jewel or something else, but we'll see. And maybe include just 2 split personalities, or maybe 3, but definitely not like 6 as I had before. That is totally viable, like, let me say that it's totally viable, and it might be really viable if you have another. So you need voices, those are 25 exils. If you have another 25 exils burning your pocket, you can get the Watcher's Eye with +2 impales, like this give impales inflict at least 1 additional hit. Watcher's Eye have 2 times while you are affected by Pride. If you get that one, then all the flat damage is going to skyrocket in scaling. But I went for the other route, and I got these large cluster jewels and this like megalomaniac with another deep cut. So I have 2 and I have 3 deep cuts here, and if I add Watcher's Eye, it doesn't scale that well anymore, because that's +5 impales and it's too much an overkill in one direction, and we need now we need to scale up dexterity further to get more scaling of impales. So now we scaled up our fizz enough, like we have enough more multis. Now we need to scale up the flat again somehow. It feels like that, because if I add Watcher's Eye, it adds just like less than 1,000,000 damage, and if I add it without like deep cuts and everything, if I remove, let's say, 1 deep cut, you can see like it adds quite a bit of damage. If I would remove another deep cut, it would remove a whole bunch more damage. If I remove that first deep cut, then it would affect it quite a bit. So every impale you get like above the normal amount of impales, it improves it quite a bit, but once you get to 3, 4 or 5, then it starts to get diminishing returns. And one cool thing is that we already have, like with 3 deep cuts, because they have 15% chance to impale, we are already overcapped, so we don't need this 15 chance to impale, nor do we need this 15 chance to impale, though they are good nodes. If somehow we manage to fit them in, we'll fit them in, but they don't give... If I grab that node, it's not going to give me more damage than, let's say, Rampart or Charging Offensive or some other node. There is Master of Force, I think. Master of Force will give you way more damage than either one of these nodes. Though if you get this Impale effect, that scales pretty well. So if you can fit it in, you can, but it's totally needed, not needed. So with this, like, we're getting into cluster jewels nonsense, because the skill tree no longer matters at all. I could travel, just get some life nodes, and that's all. I mean, travel through dexterity would be better than traveling through strength, because we can get more flat damage out of dexterity, and just grab as much life as you can, and grab 2 cluster jewels and 2 like large cluster jewel sockets like here to branch off of them, and grab a whole bunch of deep cuts, and you're fine. And after like that ridiculousness, I ran into Warcry ridiculousness. So Warcries are on medium cluster jewels, so we can fit in 1 more Warcry here, 1 more Warcry here, 1 more Warcry here. So I have slots to fit in 3 Warcries for basically nothing, because I would need 3 more skill points for like branching off into that thing, maybe 4 if I wanna get everything there. So I would need to find somewhere like 4 skill points for this, for this, and for this. That's 12 skill points, so this ridiculousness cannot work anymore, because I need skill points to branch off in here. And that is something that I will try to figure out in a day or two and improve it. And I have to take a sip of a coffee, just a second. I really love the new OBS with pause button. Makes a whole difference. I don't have to edit it later on. And I can drink my coffee during the recording. And I probably shouldn't tell you that every time I take a sip of coffee, but I don't know why I did that this time around. So we're going to do that war cries in the next update. For now, this is kind of the skill tree. If you already have it like this, I would recommend getting deep cuts if you don't already have them on cluster rules, and I told you about that in a previous video. But now I have that in game and it's really good, so you should definitely get it. But for a next update, save up some regrets, because we're going to make a mess, probably. If you had this skill tree, because it's like this for a while now, it's going to change. If you want to follow along with me, if not, like this works, you can clear tier 16 maps fully used. You can even try to clear fully delirium maps on tier 16 if you wanted to, and depending on the map rolls, on the sextants, on everything, you might clear it, but it's not like 100% sure that you're going to clear it. It can clear tier 14 maps fully delirious, definitely, but it takes way too much time to clear them, and I wouldn't really recommend clearing them at all. At this point, like, you're better off running really quick maps to farm up as much currency, spawn Cyrus, kill him, go maybe do Guardian maps and things like that. You're going to get way more out of those, but I want to make a build that can clear the stupid Delirium once and for all and steamroll it, if possible, by the end of like this season, because the things are going to change quite drastically, I think. This ridiculousness with cluster jewels is not going to survive, definitely. I really hope like the one with nothing survives, because it's a pretty fun build, but the cluster jewels, there's no way, like, this is ridiculous. Stacking nodes to infinity and that heralds nonsense, and now I'm going to make Warcry nonsense and deep cuts nonsense. I mean, everything is nonsense when it comes to stacking cluster jewels, because why do we even have a skill tree? That's useless. Delete it, like, go and delete this thing. Why do we need that? We don't need it. Delete it. Who cares about that? We are going to just branch off into clusters either way. So there's no way they're going to keep it this OP, because I mean, they made this awesome skill tree and everyone is trying to go into clusters, like ignoring the skill tree. There's no way that's gonna stick around for like next season. I think either they are going to become way more scarce, like getting cluster rules, and way more expensive, and maybe that way they stay the same, but more likely is that they are not going to stuck with each other. Like, maybe they're going to remove that or something, but it's not going to be that OP anymore. So on the cluster jewels, I kinda didn't comment about some things. Like, these megalomaniacs are somewhat interesting because they can roll large cluster jewel notables. Sorry, on a medium cluster jewel. This way we have deep cuts one more time, and this is pretty interesting, because our block chance is pretty high. Now it's on 62. I think that's in combat, so it's not really 62. It's a bit less than that, because we are counted as in combat, and this thing gives us extra block chance, I think. Like, if I remove it... Nope. No, we do have 62 block chance. This is awesome. So in combat we are more than like close to 70% block chance. That's awesome. So we have this confident combatant, which is increasing damage per 1% block attack damage. So this thing is pretty nice. It gives somewhat decent damage. Even if you like grab this stuff, it's not that bad, like heavy hitter, but it's not like great. And we have deadly reparter, never been able to pronounce that correctly, but it gives 5% block attack damage, and that's why we kind of have it more now, because we added that. And on this side we got Feed the Fury for a bit of leech, though we can get probably something more interesting, I guess. I'm not sure, but for now, when we fit War Cries, this is pretty much useless, because War Cries are going to give us a lot of healing from Enduring Cries. I also want to maybe fit in some Frenzies or Endurance nodes or something, but likely not, because I'm going to end up being in cluster roles, and maybe if there's something for that in cluster roles, I will fit it in. But either way, like, this is like the thing. I will open the game now to show you like this thing, Brutal Restraint, really quickly, and then we'll probably call it a day, but that's going to be a second. Let me jump into the game. Okay, we're in game, and this is the thing that does the thing. That's a stupid explanation. So when we socket this jewel, as you can see, this gives 5% dexterity. If I remove it, it no longer does. If I put it in, it gives me 5% dexterity. All of like these small nodes give +4 dexterity, +4 dexterity. This is useless, but it can roll +20 dexterity if I keep rolling the thing and getting lucky, but I didn't get lucky. Like this, 4%. And now somebody suggested I should get Cloth and Chains. It's pretty good, though I already have pretty nice cap on resistances. So if we remove this resists here, then it's going to be replaced by this. And since this gives 4 dexterity, there's like chance that I might get either oh snap, this gives 5% dexterity. I was way too tired to notice this thing. We'll definitely get that node now, so I have +10 dexterity from this thing. Awesome, and +1 endurance. This is awesome. So just keep rolling your Brutal Restraint with divines. So you take it out, you divine it. I don't know, I think I wasted all of my divines on it. No, I didn't. I have 4 divines. So you just right click on it. I don't want to click on it. I don't want to screw it up. I will buy a new Brutal Restraint and keep rolling it and try to get maybe 5% increased dexterities on some of these nodes. And try to, like, we might be able to get it on something that's somewhat ridiculous and not needed. But we can see 20 dexterity on these, but it's on projectile damage, which is somewhat useless to us. We might get it on like 5% dex on something here, but I'm probably not going to waste it. But like here, if it rolls on endurance or on frenzies or on this thing, like we have so many places for it to roll. If it's socketed in here, like you can even get it here on. I can get 4% increased life here if I go through these nodes, which is awesome. What did it roll here? And this is for totems, I wouldn't really go through there, but like you have so many nodes in here that is somewhat ridiculous, though some of them are for something that you won't use, but still, like frenzies, cloth and chains, and vigor are pretty good candidates for these. Probably not, because projectile damage, but still 20 dex is pretty good, but going through projectile damage sucks. Maybe if it rolls something crazy, maybe anoint it, but nah, Like, definitely not. So I guess we have this one, and this one to like get lucky, and this one, and this one. This one is not in the radius, and this one. So apparently I got somewhat lucky with twice 5% dex, and I will grab it. So what's more likely to happen once I cut out like this skill tree? I will probably get this and this and this, like all three of them, and try to buy like another brutal restraint and a whole bunch of divines and keep rolling the crap out of it until I get at least 3-5% increased dexterities and maybe one plus 20 dexterity or something like that. Like, keep rolling the damn thing until it rolls that. It's probably going to cost me a lot of currency, but it's going to give me a lot of dexterity. So if I remove this thing, as you can see, my dexterity is somewhat low, but it gives me around 100 dexterity, which is pretty good. That's comparable to a split personality that's here, and it won't work if I cut out the travel time, but this one will work either way around, so this one is better. And I will probably include one more brutal restraint here and maybe get some of these like elemental resistances, and it's going to, I cannot put it in here, but if I think I can hover it above this and it's going to show what's going to be in radius. It's somewhat not as good. It grabs this, which is somewhat okay if it rolls something good. Grabs frenzies, which are good. Grabs this thing, which is somewhat good. This is good. This not so much, I think, which is for bows. This not so much. This thing. It's not that bad, but it's not great. Invasion and blind duration. Does it give like blind enemies on hit? That's kind of cool. Though we already blind them with our flesh and stone, so it could be good. It grabs like this, which is for what are these nodes? Bow. That is crap. And this is for blade, so not like the greatest. Probably not like the place to put it in. This thing here are actually, there are some decent life nodes here, so you could grab something. Something might be good if we drop it here. Here, not so much, I think. Maybe we find it another jewel socket to play around with. But it's probably going to be this one if it happens. But in here, like, it's like no-brainer to put it in there. Maybe even like here you would have 1, 2, maybe. No, curses are probably useless to us because we don't have that many sockets to play around with. Maybe we fit one in, but probably not. We could have a decent travel through this here and then get extra dexterity. Actually, this could work because I would maybe travel through these nodes like this. And then all of those nodes would give me +4 dexterity, which would make this way better. And even if I get lucky and just roll on one of these, like 5% dexterity or +20 dexterity would be good. And then if it's like super, I mean, if it rolls on this 5% dexterity, it's somewhat projectile damage and it sucks, but evasion is pretty good. No, not for now. He's asking for breach runs. Okay, for now, like, let's finish the video. Yeah, where was I? grab this thing. So even like if it rolls on these, 5% dex would be really good because it gives 20 dex. So if we go like through here, we could travel through. I mean, this node is pretty nice, granted, but we could travel like this, dip, 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 and grab like this thing in here, and if that is going to make these nodes give us 4 dexterity, so we're not like wasting the travel through evasion, though evasion is pretty good either way for armor. So we could get a whole bunch of armor through this and grab this dexterity here, and even if it rolls like dexterity on this movement speed, we could travel through it, like maybe get some ridiculousness out of it. I don't know, like through this movement speed. Is there anything like... Yeah, we have like this live here, and it's also in radius, so we could, if it rolls like dexterity on this thing, we could go through this live and get it also. Is there any like notable crit multi? Maybe like if we switch to crit, but it's highly unlikely to go crit with this build. But like this has a potential, definitely. I don't think there's any notable in reach, like this thing here for curses. If it rolls 5% dexterity, maybe worth it, but probably not. I wouldn't go that like I guess 1, 2, 3, 4, and if I go through this, it's going to be 5 nodes for 5% dexterity. But we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 nodes if we drop it in here, but we have to travel through 2 here, which is probably better done through some other like different route. Maybe up here or even here would be better, because that way if we travel to here we can grab war cries directly and not anoint it. But I would rather go up here, like straight up here, so I travel only through dexterity, but we shall see. For now, this is the build, this is what I shared on the forum thread, like this is the current version. There are no shenanigans, like something that is work in progress. Now this is the thing that I'm running in game, and it's on the forum thread. You can try this, try your luck. Like this costs around 100 chaos, and I spent around I think 10 or 15 divines. Let's see how much do I even have a trade macro running. Yeah, you get wow, these things are freaking expensive. I spent actually way more than I thought. I thought they were 10 chaos. They were 10 chaos. But I haven't checked in a while. Wow, so I actually spent around 400 chaos on this. I thought it was way cheaper. I thought it was maybe 100 chaos for brutal restraint. I think actually it was less than 100 chaos, I think. But I think it was another 100 chaos for rolling it, but I actually spent way more money rolling it. So not really like starter item, I guess. You can keep that thing that we were using before, that transformation jewel, which I don't have a clue where it is. Not going to try to find it. I'm really bad at managing my stash. Keep losing things all the time. Nope. It got lost somewhere in stash. But yeah, you have the jewel that transforms strength into dexterity, so this gets transformed into dexterity. These like strength nodes, there are not that many actually, and it gives 25 dexterity, I think. So that's a decent start, and that jewel is pretty cheap. but this one it gets somewhat ridiculous with price, but it gets somewhat ridiculous with how good it is. And if I manage to roll one crazy one, we're looking at some crazy damage improvements, so we'll see how this goes. Either way, guys, I don't know what to talk about. I think I covered everything I wanted to so far. So thanks for watching and see you in the next one.